going to bring in Chris Gleason right now, our investigator extraordinaire. Chris, thanks for coming on, man. I texted you last night, and you're always great for coming on whenever we ask most of the time. So thank you very much.
How are you?
Well, I wanted to ask you about the financing issue. This is a big one. I had Tom Renz on, and we talked about how we don't have any big elections or arrests on election fraud, J6, vaccines, all of this subversion in our country. We're arresting people that are throwing rocks. But the big one is the financing, the smurfing. There's pattern recognition here, right? I mean, they're not doing anything about the funding of this whole great reset. And the question is why? I think we know why, but talk to me about how easy it would be to deal with this.
So we've been tracking the money for a long time. And, my whole thing was, if we can identify the flow of funds, if we can identify the money and we follow the money, we really get a good understanding of what the battlefield looks like, right? Because who benefits? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? It's all about the dollars and cents. Mm-hmm. And so we know, because we've tracked it, how all of this Act Blue, Win Red, Democracy Engine, the Action Network money flows. We know that they're tied to these NGOs. We know the consultants that are raising the funds, that have the lists. We get it all, right? Mm-hmm. And so the same people who are funding all of this treasonous RICO Smurf money laundering networks, this is all part and parcel with these protests. Mm-hmm. And so there are mechanisms in place. There have been mechanisms in place for quite some time. And so what we really have to be asking people who can do something about this is why they're not taking action. So, we have the Patriot Act, right? So the Patriot Act was passed to deal with terrorism. Well, what about the financiers of terrorism? Well, there's a lot of really cool tools that can be used. Civil asset seizure is one of them. And administratively, the FBI, in conjunction with the Treasury Department, can go in and seize the money and to stop the flow of this stuff within hours. I mean, literally.
They can not just seize the money, but they can seize whoever is doing its money.
That's right. They can seize all the assets.
I mean, they're very cool with like seizing the car and, assets of a guy running drugs on the highway, because I think that funds their operations, but they're not so cool with, seizing the billionaires' assets.
Well, that would be them seizing the assets of the people who are contributing to their political campaigns.
Yeah.
So, that's real. I mean, and frankly, I think everybody needs to be asking the question, right? Why aren't they doing that? They didn't do it in 2020, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Right? They're not doing it now. And it's from my perspective, I sit here and I look at this and I'm like, okay, well, we have an FBI director who, wrote a book all about government gangsters.
What a bunch of bullshit that was, man. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, and then to make matters worse, right? They appoint the guy who used to work for one of the chief financiers for the Smurfing Network as the head of the Treasury Department. So I have, maybe somebody will show President Trump or Secretary Bessant this video. Mm-hmm. At this point, gentlemen, it's time to take action. Mm-hmm. And if you want to demonstrate that you are truly the greatest Treasury Secretary in the history of the United States, it would be time to seize the assets of the people who are responsible behind the Act Blue money laundering, the Action Network money laundering, the Win Red money laundering, and these domestic and foreign terrorist acts that are going on right now. So, I mean, you have the power. So Kash Patel and Scott Bessant can coordinate along with DOJ, Pam Bondi, and they can shut all of this down in hours to days. And so,
has there been any arrests, investigation, announcements on the smurfing? I mean, maybe I just missed it.
no, you haven't.
Wow.
You haven't missed anything. And so I have to ask, now I will say this. The FEC, someone at the FEC who had been fighting us for quite a while, ended up handing over a lot of data.
Mhm.
And, within a very short period of time of parsing that data, we determined that there was mass, the smurfing extent that we found was far greater than what we had even initially disclosed.
Wow.
So it's a far bigger and pervasive issue. And, what it boils down to is, are these people behind the levers of power going to take action against the people who installed them? Because as we know, we have selections, not elections.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, you can deploy the National Guard, you can deploy the Marines, but the best way to cut off your enemy is to eliminate their sources of funding.
Mhm.
And because, for what it's worth, these people, for the most part, they're not going to go out and protest and take rubber bullets if they're not getting paid.
Totally. I saw that Bill Gates came in to visit Rubio yesterday, I believe, and asked to turn back on the spigot at USAID. Did you see that? The money flows?
I didn't see that yesterday, but that would not surprise me in the least bit, because these guys don't like to use their own money. They want to use your money and my money.
Yeah.
And, so realistically, we know who these people are. I mean, one of the big things is one of the think tanks behind a lot of the shenanigans, right, is New America. New America stood up the Center for Internet Security. That was stood up by one of Obama's transition experts. He was an Air Force guy. And, I mean, all that money that's being run through that think tank, it's coming from places like the Tides, it's coming from the Aspen Institute, it's coming from the Ford Foundation, it's coming from the Gates Foundation, it's coming from the Omidyar Foundation. I mean, ultimately, they're using these foundations and NGOs to overthrow the constitutional form of government that we have. Yeah. And last time I checked, giving material aid and support to terrorism was a punishable offense through civil seizure, civil asset seizure. So, I mean,
all over the internet. I'm just seeing guys all over the internet. I don't know if it's true, but the information's out there publicly of who's doing behind a lot of this. So, they know. I said this to Tom Renz. Somebody had to rent the truck to deliver the bricks. You have a surveillance camera. You get the license plate. You know who paid. You find where the truck came from. You know who paid for it. You trace the money back. Somebody's buying the mask. Somebody's paying the attorneys. I mean, all this is very easy to find, right?
Of course it is.
We recommend you take this moment to do what we're about to do, which is enjoy an Alp.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
course it is, especially with the technology that Palantir was founded on. I mean, this was why Palantir was founded. They used this technology that they had developed at PayPal, right? So they'd use this develop, and then they sold it. They had InQtel fund them, right? And then they needed a mechanism to feed it, which was Facebook and Twitter and everything else. And so, what's going on here was all of the money laundering and fraud protection that we know is part of the Gotham platform disabled for the past how many years?
Yeah,
Since 2004. So
and you're talking about if a credit card pays 5,000 transactions of campaign finance within a day, that maybe that would have been shut down if you took the same card into Walmart and tried to use it more than once or twice.
yeah, I mean, this is basic, basic fraud protection. Not even counting the Bank Secrecy Act, the Patriot Act, the KYC. I mean, realistically, the banks behind this, like Bank of America and Chase and Amalgamated Bank and Citizens and Wells Fargo, they really should just have their banking charters revoked, because there's no way that they're not in on it.
Totally agree. Let's switch gears for a minute. I had this discussion with Tom Renz earlier in the show. You have the PayPal mafia in the White House with Palantir, Peter Thiel, and you had this big blow up between Trump and Musk. Musk was part of the PayPal mafia, and there's a big, controversy as what is the goal of Musk? Was it to go after the data? Palantir's got the data. Was it a fight over that? What do you think of Elon Musk and what's been going on?
I wanted to give Elon Musk the benefit of the doubt, and I really did. And he has certainly fallen far short of that mark, especially here on X, right? I've been heavily banned, heavily deprioritized in feeds, and I'm not alone. And I know that Musk did this because I was highly critical of his first pick for president, which was Ron DeSantis, who we knew was a bad guy because we caught him doing all kinds of bad things. And he still is. And, so Musk makes these big promises and he doesn't deliver on it. And, ultimately it wasn't until Palantir's analytics showed after the assassination attempt that Trump was going to completely destroy the other side, that Musk jumped on board, because he knew that he needed to do that for his business. His business is, I mean, I might as well just come right out and say it. I mean, Elon Musk committed visa fraud for, he came here on a student visa and he didn't go to school. He started a company, and that company became PayPal. I mean, is he naturalized now? Yeah. Did he obtain that citizenship? And did he get that based on fraud? Probably. I mean, and all of Elon Musk's wealth, for the most part, he got his seed funding, right, from Pierre Omidyar. Pierre Omidyar. Where have I heard that name? Yeah, Pierre Omidyar. And then, all of the money that he's made was due to government subsidies. So he got government subsidies for the EV cars. He got government subsidies for solar panels. He had government subsidies for rockets. Now, is he more efficient than NASA was, or some of these other, government stuff? Yeah, of course, because it's not government technically. And, so you can move fast and do stuff. And sometimes I guess that's what's needed. But, he's people like to, people on the right like to, give people on government assistance a hard time, right? The welfare people. Well, what about the corporate welfare? I mean, you've got Elon Musk, and he's ultimately the richest man in the world because he took all the government cheese.
Yeah.
And when you look at people like, let's take a look at the next richest guy in the world, right? Jeff Bezos. You know, Amazon wasn't profitable until he opened up AWS to .gov. How about that? So the two richest guys, and what about Zuckerberg? Oh wait, Zuckerberg. That was another government arm.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I mean,
let me ask you this. Well, I was just going to say, I was interviewing Tom Renz and we started talking about the vaccines, and the show count was way high and it just went straight down. It was amazing to watch. So we're being deplatformed a lot on Twitter. I mean, we have some at reach, but it's not what it should be. But
well,
anyway.
you know, they have to control the narrative, and that's why they roll out people like Data Republican and Mike Benz and Scott Pressler and, you know, Conservative Inc. You know?
Yeah, we're not part of Conservative Inc. We didn't get the memo yesterday that there was somebody put out. I think it was Fuentes put out a tweet that showed that the memo that went out to Conservative Inc., kind of the Mockingbird media style. It was kind of funny to watch. Anyway, Chris, thank you. Anything else you want to get out?
Hold them accountable. Everybody right now. I mean, nothing's been done with election integrity, period. And if they hold these people accountable for the money flows on this smurfing stuff, you're gonna nip it's two birds in one stone, right? You're gonna hit the financing of this terrorist, domestic and foreign op that's going on, and you're gonna nail the financing of the crooked politicians who are benefiting from this operation. So hold them accountable. Everybody should go to Scott Bessant and ask him why. Why? Ask Kash Patel. Everybody should be asking Kash Patel, why aren't you seizing the money?
Yeah, somebody's paying for all this. It's quite obvious. I mean, there's ads on Craigslist for $12,000 a week if you go protest or some crap like that. Where's that money? That's a lot of money. Where's that money coming from? Chris, thank you. We'll have you back, man. You can find Chris at Miami Independent. What's the name of your Substack, by the way?
It's Immutable Truth Elections.
Excellent. Talk to you again. Thanks for coming on.
Okay.